Hello, hello, everybody. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. We will be getting started shortly. I just want to make sure everybody gets in okay. All right. We are going to get started. More people will be dropping in shortly. I'll greet them as they come in. But for right now, let's just go ahead and get started. First, I do want to say my name is Ashley. I am the admin here at New Beginnings. And I just want to thank everybody who was able to make it and is here today. Thank you so much for being interested at first and then even attending and following through with that. So let's go ahead and get started. I will be talking about a few things when it comes to today's webinar. One of them will be of course, our TaxStone portal and the app, what's more convenient, whether it's the app or the website, as well as ways to log in if you're not really familiar on how to, and things like that. I'll also be talking about the organizer today, why it's important, how do you know what info to provide or give, and then even where you can find it on the TaxStone portal. I will be having some questions after each topic, like a couple, like two, maybe three. I did say one or two just for timing purposes, but if I have time, I will take two to three, and then I will also have a Q&A at the end. There will also be some questions that I personally go over and address, just general questions that I feel like I've gotten a lot from clients. And so I will be talking about those questions and answering those questions as well. That will not be a Q&A opportunity per se, but I will answer those questions. So if anybody had that question, it's already being answered. And then we will also be going over some new beginnings due dates, like when to turn your tax documents into us in order for us to file your return on time. Um, we typically get a lot of our clients that are confused between our due dates and then the IRS's due dates. They are not the same, so I will be going over the difference and the specific due dates that we have. And then lastly, we will be talking about pricing for our tax preparation service. So I am pretty excited. I'm also a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But we are gonna get this together, starting with our TaxStone portal. If you guys have not used it yet, the TaxStone portal is at the taxstone.com app, but there also is a mobile app that you can use as well if you don't want to use the website to log in. It's really just your add your email address that we take on hand when you first sign up with us, and then you create a password through an email that it sends you at the initial setup as well. So I did want to put that out there just for people who are like, I didn't know there was a mobile app. So yes, there is a mobile app. That way you can have it on the go with you. I know a lot of people travel, especially our clients, our business clients. So there is a mobile app that you can use while traveling. Um, a lot of people forget their password, and that's totally perfectly normal. But I did want to put out there that if you forget your password, besides, of course, hitting that forgot password button down here, you can also call the team or send the team a chat and just let us know. And then we are able to reset your password on our end as well. So I did want to go over that. Let's jump right into what everybody's wanting to know. Everybody's wanting to talk about the organizer. What is it? Um, where to find it, and just what part it plays in our tax preparation service in general. So let's get into that. Um, Finding the organizers, first things first. If you were to log into your client's portal, this is what you would see, just offhand. And the organizer is not going to be up here per se unless it is not completed. So I do want to put that out there. If it's not completed and you're looking for it, then you should see it right up here first thing. But a lot of people might have completed it and need to go back to it or whatever the case. And so I also wanted to put out there that if you do, it is not going to be right here when it's completed. So I will navigate you to where to find it. Um, starting on this first page, you'll see a more option, and clicking that more option will pop up the organizers option. And you would just click organizers. That would bring up all organizers that are available to you. And that just means completed or not completed. And then I will go ahead and actually take some questions just so there might have been um, some questions on where to find the organizer. I know I just went over that, but just in case people have ever experienced some kind of um, non-easy way to navigate, I will go ahead and take questions on what to do if you're not seeing it or finding it where I showed you. So if you have a question, feel free to use the raised hand emoji as well as type into the chat with your question. I will give that another minute just to see if anybody is still typing and need more time, and then we can go over the importance of an organizer. Perfect. So we have a question. The question was, is this for all organizers, business and personal? And yes, if you are using the organizer tab that I just showed in the slide, then yes, it will show all organizers on that account. I do want to specify that it would only be for that specific account. We will also get into um, the difference between business accounts and personal accounts. But if you are on your account and you go to that organizers tab, then you should see the organizers for that account. And the only difference would be switching between the business and personal accounts. And I will show you that later as well. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any other questions. So let's go ahead and dive into the importance of the organizer, the heart of the organizer, starting with why they matter. The organizer is very important and matters just because, for one, identification purposes, of course. I know we have a lot of clients who might have been with us for a long period of time, but in an overall standpoint, um, we do not know your life per se, so we do need that information. Um, Sometimes one year we did your taxes, we might not have gotten a certain point of information, and so now this year we'd be needing that information, whether it's a new dependent or whether it's just something simple as a middle name. Um, so we would need that filled out just for the importance of knowing who taxes we're doing and knowing what your tax situation is. Taxes are very personal, and we do want to get to know everybody at some point by heart. And so, identification and filling out that organizer is helps us do that. Another reason why they're important, it helps us catch like important changes. A lot of people change their address. A lot of people change their phone number. Like I said, they have new babies or they want to claim an dependent for a certain year, things like that. And us per se, we wouldn't know the change that needs to be made for that current tax year. So there's no way for us to like just automatically do it on your taxes. And so having that organizer in place helps us catch all that. It also helps the clients like remember, like, oh yeah, I did buy a new house, or oh yeah, I did want to add this year. And it gives us that important information. So therefore we can know that your taxes did include any new information that you might have had for that tax year. Lastly, a very important aspect to the organizer is helping the clients know what documents to provide or what documents they're needing to get, what documents are needed, what documents are kind of like optional, such as like expenses. But yeah, it just helps them know what they need to get their taxes done. There's a lot of documentation that are mandatory when doing taxes, and so just having that organizer in place helps the clients know what to give us. We get that question a lot from clients not knowing what to give us, especially businesses, and that organizer going through it, answering the questions, it really gives you a good idea of what you should be looking for and what you will be needing to provide. So now that we've went through those importance, I do want to share this cute little video made by our very own office manager, Johnny. Um, he's done a great job with this video, so I do want to share it because it is important. And it is also about the organizer. Let's take a minute to watch that. And then if you have any questions, I will be taking them after the video, so feel free to go ahead and type those into the chat.
Here's a true story with a painful point. Bob and Sue followed their own plan and decided not to complete the provided tax organizer. Bob had unreported gambling winnings, Sue had undisclosed stocks, and a W-2 she forgot to include. Uh-oh. So the IRS caught on and huffed and puffed and audited Bob and Sue. New Beginnings informed the couple that they would be on the IRS's radar for the next 3 years as a result, and stressed the importance of using the tax organizer to ensure all required information was included before filing their next tax return. 365 days later, guess what happened? Bob and Sue failed to use the tax organizer. Again. They also failed to provide 5 W-2s and a new investment with their tax documents. They were audited again. Bob and Sue were not happy. Bob accused New Beginnings of failing to acquire all their information. It is illegal for New Beginnings to acquire the client's personal tax information without authority. Bob and Sue were informed that to accomplish attaining all of Bob's information for him, New Beginnings would require a power of attorney and be forced to wait until after the posting of his wage and income transcript, which typically doesn't happen until after June. This means the filing of Bob and Sue's return would be late or amended, with possible penalties or extended, dragging the issue out longer. The next tax season, Bob and Sue turned in their paperwork at the end of February, insisting they included everything required. Bob and Sue got audited again. Bob huffed and puffed and went somewhere else. To ensure your house is built on brick and doesn't get blown down, New Beginnings asks, please use the tax organizer. The end.
Okay, so that was a cute little Huff and Puff video. I love the concept of the video in general, so I wanted to share that. So far, we're not having any questions, but I will give it another minute or two in case people were just now coming up with a question or need some time to type. Okay, we have a question. Would a home sale show up on the organizer? I do want to do a little bit of background on the organizer before I answer that question. The organizer is a series of questions, whether they are to be entered, like a date or an explanation, or whether it is like a push button to where it gives you options and you just click on the options that apply to you. And so with the question if would a home sale show up on the organizer? Yes. It's the way that the home sale would show up is it asks there's a button, a push button that asks like did you sell or buy a home, right? And so if you would have sold or bought a home, you would click that push button and then that would generate a series of questions asking about the home sale. When it comes to buying, there's not too many questions because there's not too many like documentations or explanations that we need for homes that are bought. But home sales are very important. If you sold a home, they're very important to include on your taxes. So we take that section of the organizer very like we don't take it lightly, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, to answer the question, it would show up on the organizer. You would just have to make sure that you do answer by pushing that button like, yes, I did sell or buy a home. And like I said, that would generate a list of questions that you would then answer in a later section of the organizer. Another question we had was how long is the organizer? So the organizer is something I love about it. It is very much made to be, I guess, generated in a way specifically for the client. And so what I mean by that is like if we think about it, the organizer could be short or long depending on whatever the client has for that tax year. A lot of people will only have something like simple like W-2 and there's not a lot of tax documents or anything that might have like changed or there's not a lot for them to add, I should say, onto their tax return. And so their organizer could only be 30 questions. But on the other hand, there could be a client with something such as a business, or they have 5 dependents, or they did sell a home, and all kinds of things, tuition for college, all kinds of things. And so something like that could make the organizer as long as 100 questions. And so I wouldn't get scared or um, assume with the organizer. It's kind of like I said, an answer as you go questionnaire. Now, if you've been with us for a while and you know, like, my situation barely ever changes, and last year I had this amount of questions, then it's safe to assume that you'll have the same amount of questions. But if you're someone who makes a lot of changes every year, whether it's dependents or a business, then things like that can ultimately vary depending on how much you did that tax year. And if that didn't answer your question, just let me know and I can go more into detail with that one. Another question is, if my information has not changed and you have done my taxes for the previous year, can you just use that organizer? And the answer is yes. Another cool thing about the organizer is if you're wanting to fill it out because there were some changes, you can do that. But then there's also a pre fill option, and that option gives you the opportunity to not have to go through every single question all over again every year. Like I said, if you're somebody who knows, like, my life never changes really, then you'll go ahead and press that pre fill option. What that does is answer every question according to how you answered it the previous year. So if your information has not changed, then we would just recommend clicking that pre-fill option and then it should fill everything out for you. Perfect. I love the questions, guys. I love it. I'm going to give it another minute or so just to make sure everybody got their questions out and then we can move forward. And thank you to everybody who is asking their questions. It truly helps us a lot just knowing maybe if we need to tweak the organizer or where the difficulty in the organizer might be. And so that helps us a lot. And I love answering your guys' questions. Perfect. Okay, so we have another question. If you use the pre-fill, but there is one or two answers that are different, can you make that adjustment? Okay, so yes, you are able to make an adjustment. I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure if you can on your guys' side due to that pre-fill button. I don't know if TaxDome's made that update yet, but I do know that if you were to click the pre-fill button on your end, um, the organizer's not set in stone. We can always move things, change things around on our side for sure. And so it's never a one all be all situation. We can always make changes. And if TaxDome hasn't came up with an update like that, hopefully they do. That would help a lot of people. Okay, another question is, will we have access to the organizer during the entire process? Or once it is submitted, we cannot change anything? Okay, so to answer your question, unfortunately, once it is submitted, you will not be able to change anything on your side just because once it's submitted, it is also sealed. And so at that point, we're reviewing and doing our own thing to the organizer. But like I said, if you're wanting to change anything, we can always unseal it for you and then you can go back in and make your changes. Or sometimes, even to make your life easier, you can just simply tell us what you're wanting to add or change, and then we can do it on our end as well. So, like I said, organizer's not one all be all. There's always we're always able to make changes and add things. Um, we'll just have to get that communication in there. Okay, here we are with some common client questions that I get. I wanted to go over these because these are big questions and they're also very important questions for everybody to know, especially for people that have business accounts. The first question I get a lot is, how do I change between my personal account and my business account? So we do have a video here from Taxstone themselves giving you kind of the runaround, but we also have a simple picture here on where you can access your personal and business account. Now, how it will look on your Taxstone portal, you can only see one account at a time. And so if you're wanting to change from your personal to your business account, you're essentially just flip-flopping between the accounts. And how you would do that is if when you open your account, this is the first thing you'll see. You'll see this home page with like anything you might need to do, and then like your options as well. And then in the top right corner, you'll see your account. It'll show what account you're on currently. So if you log in and it doesn't say your name and it says your business account, then that just means you're on your business account at the moment. But if you're wanting to switch between that, you could always click your icon up here, your little portal icon, and then that will give you the option to switch between any number of accounts that you have. Some people have more than one business, so they'll have two, three accounts, and then some people only have one account because they don't have a business. But all of them can be found here. And then you just click whichever account you want to access. Um, and then if you want to go back, it would be the same thing. You would just click the little account emoticon and go back to whatever account you're wanting to get to. Perfect. And then another question I get a lot is, where can I get information on where my return is? So a lot of people, they get a lot of calls. I mean, they call us a lot of times just to get a status update on their return, like where the return is, how it's doing, if they need anything, if we're needing anything from them. And I did want to point out how you're able to find that on your portal. So you can't see it on this picture right here, but that's why I have this video. It gives you a little tutorial, I guess you could say, on where to find things. And for the sake of time, we might not watch the whole video, but I do want to watch it just for the sake of information. So let's go ahead and do that. Before I do get into this video though, did anybody have any questions regarding how to switch between personal and business accounts? Okay, no questions. Let's go ahead and watch that video.
Welcome to the TaxDome portal. The secure portal is purposely built for you, the client, to make it easy for you to interact with your firm. This portal is all-encompassing and your main touchpoint with your firm. Instead of having to use multiple platforms and remember many logins, everything your provider needs you to do can be done within this secure, comprehensive portal. You can access it on any device and it's available on mobile apps. On your screen now, you can see a QR code. Scan it with your phone's camera and it will take you directly to the App Store to download the app on iOS or Android. Using the app, you can do everything on the go at your convenience. First and most importantly, TaxDome keeps your important financial documents secure. TaxDome undergoes intense security audits and is SOC 2 compliant, the highest level of security. And for additional security, you can enable two-factor authentication, a security best practice. We'll cover that in the settings section at the end. Let's walk through the portal navigation. If you have access to multiple accounts, when you first log in, you will see the Choose Account page. If you can access only one account, you won't see this page, but TaxZone enables you to access many accounts from one login. So if you own multiple businesses, this makes it very easy for you to manage all affairs from one login. When you choose an account, you will see all your pending tasks right on the homepage. Any outstanding items that your provider needs you to do, whether it's a signature request, invoice, or chat, you will see aggregated here. Clicking on the notification will take you directly to where you need to go to complete the task. Next, your provider may use the Work in Progress section to keep you updated on the status of your jobs. For each job, you will be able to see the status and a description of where you stand, often preempting the need for you to check in by giving you an update at any time. Let's go to the Document section. Here, if any documents require your signature or approval, you'll see them highlighted in the Waiting for Action section at the top. To upload documents or folders, drag and drop them from your desktop or click the Upload Documents button. If you're using the mobile app on iOS or Android, you also have access to the scanner, which will take high-quality PDF images if you have any paper files you need to send over. There are 3 tabs on the Documents page: Recent, Folder, and Trash. The Recent tab shows you the most recent uploaded or modified files. As you often log in as a response to your provider, this helps you find documents you need quickly. For a traditional folder structure, click the Folders tab. Now let's go to the Chats page. Here you'll see active chat threads just like WhatsApp or iMessage, but there are several benefits and reasons why your provider will use this to communicate with you. Unlike email, chats are secure and integrated with the document section. If you attach any documents to a chat, they will be automatically added to your portal, saving you and your provider time. Next, your provider may ask you to complete client tasks. You'll notice them on the right of any chat thread. Once you finish it, check the box. If you have any questions, simply write to your provider in the thread. Now let's move to organizers. These are similar to Google Forms, and your provider may use them to collect information. The main difference is that these forms can be smart and contain logic, so additional questions or even entire sections may show or hide based on your responses. They may also contain information tidbits to help you answer your questions, depending on your provider settings. And just like chats, any uploaded documents are automatically saved to your portal. From the Billings page, you will be able to securely process your payments in just a few clicks. Now let's head to the Requests section. Client Requests helps you to promptly respond when your firm asks you for missing information. Here, you'll find a list of all the requests your firm sent you with their respective status. These requests are the easiest way to send information and can include text, dates, file uploads, and more. One interesting thing about client requests is that if your firm set non-strict security options, you will be able to fill them up without having to log in. Lastly, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, we recommend everyone to enable two-factor authentication for additional security. To do so, go to the Settings page. If you prefer a language other than English, you can choose from 12 languages. This will update your portal view and also all automated system emails you receive. That's it for this overview of the client portal. Thank you for watching, and let us know in the comments if you have any questions. The TaxZone team is always looking to improve, so your feedback is paramount for making it even better and easier for you to use.
Okay, so that was the video from TaxDome. I love that video. It kind of put everything that we just talked about into perspective. And for those people who are like visual learners, you got to see like the organizer being put into effect, and as well as all the other cute little aspects that they've added to make our clients' lives easier. I am going to go back to the video because when it comes to the question of where can I get information on where my return is, they did go ahead and show that in this video. We call it a little pizza tracker. It's cute just because it it kind of like the status of your pizza. It also
tasks.
tells you the status of your return. And so that's why we call it a little pizza tracker. But if you see right here in this corner where it says latest updates, there's a box that tells you like whatever is happening to your return at that moment. For example, right here, this person's return is in progress. Looks like they're working on it as we speak. But that is going to happen for every, I guess you could say, stage or process throughout the process of the tax preparation service. You'll be going through different places and it'll let you know where you are at that moment. So if you ever log in and you're just like, hey, I wonder what's going on, it'll be right there when you log in that little latest updates box section. And I can go ahead and take some questions on that. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with it and just want to know what some of them might mean. So we'll go ahead and wait for any questions that may pop up. Oh, looks like we have a question. The question was, do we need two separate emails for the married file joint accounts? So to answer your question, yes, we do recommend using two separate emails because technically that is the only way that TextDome will even let us sign you up. It is also for e-signature purposes. Um, the way that TaxDome has their clients e-sign their documents is by the email. And so if we have two people under the same account with the same email, then it'll essentially sign twice for the same person, really whoever signs first. And so we do need two separate emails so that way TaxDome's portal can, I guess, um, determine, okay, like this email belongs to this person and this is how they'll sign. And then this email belongs to the other person and this is how they'll sign. So we do recommend the two separate emails. We don't have a preference in what the email is. I know some people will have their partner use the business email because they don't have a personal one. That's totally fine as well. It just cannot be the same email as your spouse. Let's go ahead and see if any more questions pop up before we move on. Okay, doesn't look like we have any more questions. If you do have a question that you think of while I'm going through everything, please feel free to put it in the chat and I will look at it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about new beginnings due dates. And I love the fact that this is going to be new beginnings due dates and not the IRS's due dates. I'm pretty sure all of our clients are aware of the IRS's due dates, but we get a lot of questions on when we need everything by in order to ensure timely filing. So let's go ahead and talk about that. Um, so of course, we all know the IRS's due dates are um, October 15th for extended personal returns. And then, of course, it's September 15th for all extended business returns. And businesses meaning S Corp, C Corp, and partnerships. And Corp is just corporation, in case you guys were wondering. I know there's some people that might not have a business in here. Um, so those are IRS's due dates. But in order for us to make sure that we get all of our clients in by that due date, ensuring timely filing and just making sure that it's all fair and that we also do people in the order that we get everything, we have our own personal due dates to let all of our clients know that we need like all of the documents and invoices and contracts done by a certain time. So that way we can ensure them timely filing. And I want to go through those. So during tax season, which is the non-extension season, I guess you could say the beginning of the year, our first one is February 20th. This is to guarantee on-time filing for business clients because their returns are due on March 15th. So that's what February 20th is. That is the tax season due date for new beginnings, just meaning that we will need all profit and losses, all expenses, all balance sheets, all invoices paid, all contracts signed by February 20th to ensure that your business return is filed by March 15th. And then for personals, of course, we have a due date of March 20th. This is to ensure that your return is filed on time for the April 15th deadline. This includes anybody with like a Schedule C or a small business. We will also need your stuff by March 20th as well, because that is with your personal return. And with that one, that's the same thing. Any tax docs that you have, all contracts signed, as well as all invoices paid by March 20th in order for us to ensure timely filing for April 15th, the IRS's deadline. Now, I know a lot of people look at these deadlines and they're like, oh my gosh, but do not worry, just because the ones that I just stated are the original. I don't know how to explain it. The original tax season deadlines. We all know there's extension deadlines, and so these are not the one all be all deadlines for taxes. We also have the off tax season deadlines, aka the extension season deadlines, and that gives us more time as well to get everybody completed that we weren't able to get completed early that year. So the first one being August 20th, we actually just passed the business due date of September 15th for all business clients with extensions, and they were their deadline to turn everything into us, like I said, the profit and loss balance sheet, paid invoices, and signed contracts were August 20th. And then the IRS deadline, of course, is September 15th. And then, oop, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, guys. I guess he got tired. So then going back to the second deadline for individuals, of course, with extensions, their deadline for me, or new beginnings, I guess you can say, is September 20th. And this is to ensure timely filing for their extension deadline for the IRS, which is October 15th. And like I said, once again, that does include anybody with a small business or Schedule C. Um, and so, like I said, with these deadlines, they're not one all be all. I know we do have these deadlines. We have these deadlines in place so that way we can ensure that we get all of our clients in at the same time and that there's nobody, like, I guess, not getting filed on time when they did give us their stuff on time. So we do want all of our clients to know about these deadlines. They're going to be the 20th of the month prior to the IRS deadline. So just a quick, I guess, tip. If you can remember the IRS's deadlines, such as March 15th and April 15th, then just think of the 20th of the prior month. And that is the deadline for new beginnings. Same thing with the extensions. If you can remember of September 15th and October 15th, just think of the 20th for the prior month. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, we're always here. We can always work with you guys. And then, yeah, all about communication, but those are the known and I wouldn't say strict, but pretty straightforward, strict deadlines. If anybody has any questions on those, feel free to put those in the chat. And let's take a minute to see if there is any. Looks like I do have a question. If you don't get our things by the new beginnings due date, but it is before the filing date, what happens? Do you automatically file an extension, or will we need to request an extension to be filed by new beginnings? So, like I said, we're very flexible with this kind of stuff. So to answer your question, if you not get us talking about, of course, the original tax season due dates, which is April 15th and March 15th. If you do not get us your stuff by February 20th or March 20th, but you get it to us before the IRS due dates, what typically happens is, of course, we will try our best to get you filed in time, but we do make sure all of our clients know, of course, up front, like, hey, our deadline was February 20th or March 20th. And because you gave us your documents a couple days later or a week later, we will try our best to get your tax return done, but we cannot ensure timely filing. We also ask them if they have an extension. Some people already do that on their own. Um, but if they don't, we also recommend an extension just because we rather be safe than sorry. So once again, to answer your question, we would recommend an extension um, while we're of course trying to get your return in on time. We rather be safe than sorry and have it than try and not have it done. And then the other question was, do you automatically file an extension? Will we need to request? We don't automatically do anything. That's not something we would do. We would always ask for permission, of course. Now, there are some clients that are personally close to some of my coworkers here, and so, or even family, and so knowing them, sometimes that's like a given. But 99% of the time, we will ask if you have an extension. And if you're like, no, I don't, we will then recommend that you do one, whether it's by having us do it or by doing it on your own time. But we will not just automatically file an extension. That is something that you would need to request or communicate. Another question we had was, does an extension cost and how much would it be? So yes, we do have a service fee for extensions. They are $75 for us to do that paperwork, of course. You can also do it on the irs.gov website for free. So, but we do recommend having an extension. Are we able to see the prices on the portal? Yes, so they are on the portal. If you guys, I'm trying to like put this out there in the best way possible. When you log in, at the top, there's going to be a Docs tab. If you click the Docs tab, you'll see a tab or a folder that is called Resource Center. In that resource center is all the information that you'll need for pricing. If there's any like deductions that you need to look into that you're not so sure if you're able to deduct, we have some forms in there about deductions. We also have some forms in there about dependents. And so the resource center is a really good tool to use when you're just needing more information. You're also always able to call us, of course, and ask your questions. But if you're ever like, we're closed and you need to know something, the Resource Center is there for you to look into and get that information. So to answer your question, yes, you are able to see the prices in the portal. You will just go under Docs and then the Resource Center, and you would see a folder that says pricing. And clicking that would bring up all of our pricing, business, personal, and any others we have. Yay! I'm so glad we don't have questions, but I'm looking at everybody's chats and I'm glad to see that this webinar was helpful and people are looking forward to next tax season. I don't expect anybody to remember all of these tips and tricks, of course. So we are always available for any information or questions that you do have. But I'm hoping that you took at least one tip today from this webinar to use for next tax season. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I do want to give you guys a farewell and thank you once again for attending. We do have some other webinars coming up, so be on the lookout for those, please. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Like I said, my name's Ashley. I am the admin, so most likely I'll be the first one you talk to. But other than that, it was great giving you guys this webinar and farewell. Have a blessed day.